The Iowa FFA is hosting their leadership conference from today until Tuesday up at Iowa State University. Local 5's Brandon Wynn joins us in studio and spoke with the FFA on what is making this event so special. Brandon.
That's right, Alex. This event marks the 98th State Leadership Conference for the Iowa FFA. And this conference marks some recent growth for the organization. The FFA State Leadership Conference is seeing about 5,000 students gather at Hilton Coliseum in Ames. And for many of the students, FFA is more than an organization.
I was involved in plenty of sports and extracurriculars, but FFA is what made me realize what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, which was, teach agriculture. I'm going to Iowa State for agricultural education.
Hannah Gross is one of 9 state officers for FFA, and she says FFA has been a formative part of her life.
It's not only about farming, it's not only about agriculture, but it's also about the leadership skills you develop, the people you meet, the connections you make.
Gross is not alone in feeling that way. Over the past 10 years, there has been a 40% growth in membership, and there has been a 25% growth in the past 5 years. A key goal for leaders like Chloe Zittergreen, another member of the state leadership team, is to see that growth into the future.
That's the only way that we grow. If everything is handed to us, we are not going to be innovative and looking for new ways to do things and grow. But if we fail, we can have that mindset of, okay, we failed, what can we do now and how can we do it better?
A tradition for FFA is their partnership with Meals for the Heartland, who feels their experience with the organization speaks to why FFA has seen so much growth.
Whether it's doesn't matter what school we go to, they're the best kids, and so we love working with them because they're not afraid of hard work, they're not afraid of leadership, they're not afraid of raising money, they want to serve, and they want to feed hungry people. And so all of those things come together where they can showcase their chapter to their school and their community.
The Iowa FFA stressed how their focus is not just on farming, but making sure students are set up for success in all aspects of life. Alex.
And the Beautiful Bulldog Contest is not the only relays traditions at Drake University.
Certainly not. There are so many over there. Local 5's Emma Stroner gives us a look at one of the students' most beloved activities. We're talking about Painted Street.
Well, Painted Street is one of the first traditions that students partake in every year to kick off Relays Week. What they do is they enter a raffle to get their organization a spot right here on the street. And over the weekend, I caught up with students as they were in the process of bringing their designs to life. For Drake University students,
the students have high energy.
Painting squares on Painted Street is a sign that their favorite time of the year is back once again.
Great way to start off Drake Relays.
Every year, multiple designs line this street in the middle of Drake's campus. They represent some of the over 100 student organizations because there isn't enough space to fit all of them.
I'm super excited that we're out here and we were able to win the raffle, which is the process in getting selected for the square. We were really nervous that we might not get a square. There's a ton of organizations at Drake University, and being the lucky few that was selected, we were thrilled and we immediately started designing our square.
For the 116th Drake Relays, the 2026 theme is Y2K, so the students are bringing out all things early 2000s.
For Student Senate, we're doing a 2000s design with a Nintendo. I think Sonic's going to be on there.
Sonic's gonna be on there. Club Penguin.
Yep.
We have a rock with a kissing rock to represent the kissing rock tradition at Drake University. We also have the pink track as well as a runner with the DU Bulldog in hot pink.
We're going to be doing a big graffiti letters of Alpha A, LP, FA.
But even though every year brings a different theme and different organizations on these squares, one thing remains the same. All of the students start relays together right here on this street.
Getting to see your friends and paint and figure out all the different student alumni or student organizations that are on campus.
It's a great tradition, and I'm so happy we get to do this every year, and I'm so happy so many organizations are able to be out here and having fun together and getting to know each other.
And this is really one of many traditions that takes place during this week. We've got the road races, the Grand Blue Mile, the concert, the list really goes on. So stick with us because this is not the last of our coverage on it. In Des Moines, Emma Stroner, Local 5 News.
Well, Iowa's population is still growing, but a new report suggests the forces behind that growth may not be as strong as they appear. As Local 5's J.D. Snover reports, the state added about 8,000 residents in 2025, but key gaps are beginning to close.
New data from the U.S. Census Bureau shows Iowa's population grew in 2025 for a third straight year. But a recent analyzation from the Common Sense Institute says the trend underlying those numbers tells a more complicated story when looking at births, deaths, and migration.
There are constraints for all three. And so while we have a growing population in Iowa, it's not growing at the pace we really need to see it growing.
The report shows net births dropped by about 500 in 2025 and are more than 70% below the pre-pandemic average.
While at the same time, Iowa's aging population is putting pressure on the other side of that equation.
So, the report says, there were still more births than deaths last year, but
those two lines are closing together.
And that leaves migration, both domestic and foreign, as a key driver of Iowa's growth. In 2025, Iowa ranked 39th in the nation for overall net migration.
There's some natural disadvantages Iowa has. We don't have mountains, we don't have oceans and beaches.
To better understand how Iowa stacks up, researchers compared it to neighboring states, where Iowa ranked 11th out of 12 in the Midwest.
So it's not particularly promising, even just in our region.
The report warns those trends raise concerns about Iowa's competitiveness, especially as former Iowans move to similar states. Researchers conclude lagging immigration levels, quote, increase the risk of slower workforce growth and reduced economic expansion compared with neighboring states facing similar conditions. So as you saw there, the main concern is that without stronger population growth, Iowa could face long-term challenges in filling jobs and sustaining economic growth. In 2025 alone, with the drop in immigration to the state, the report shows that left us with about 8,500 fewer workforce participants, Stephanie.
Another shooting early Sunday morning has people on edge in Iowa City. 5 people are injured, 3 of them University of Iowa students. Local 5's Emily Carlson breaks down what we know tonight.
Yeah, Steph, we don't have a lot of new information today. What we do know is that Iowa City police responded just before 2 a.m. Sunday to a large fight near East College Street and South Clinton Street by the old Capitol Town Center. Multiple people were hospitalized, with 1 person in critical condition and 4 others in stable condition. Today, the Iowa City Police Department is continuing to investigate. Police are seeking any security camera footage from the downtown Iowa City business area from 1 to 2:15 a.m. that morning and cell phone video recording taken from the pedestrian mall during that period. Now let's talk about the aftermath of the shooting. It's hard to have hard conversations with loved ones and friends. No one likes being uncomfortable, but after the shooting in Iowa City, it's important to pause and evaluate what's going on around you. NAMI, or the National Alliance on Mental Health here in Iowa, says checking in with loved ones after a shooting like this is key. Connection stops isolation and negative response to tragedy. NAMI says to be open and honest with your kids and respond with empathy, not judgment.
It's important in situations like this to get comfortable being uncomfortable, especially if you have, children, and they have these questions, being vulnerable and allowing them to be vulnerable can be challenging, but it really is the right thing to do in these situations.
It's also okay as an adult to say we don't know why these things happen, but let kids know it's not their fault and they couldn't have done anything to prevent it. It's also important to let your kids know it's okay to be scared, but emphasize that they are safe. Mental health advocates say shootings are hard because everyone wants to help. It's easy in natural disasters because there are opportunities to fill sandbags and donate to the food bank. But right now, if you want to do something, reach out to a friend or family member. Check in on them and see how they're doing and ask if you can be of service.
With thousands of people in Des Moines for the Drake Relays annually, businesses near Drake's campus say it's always one of the busiest weeks of the year. Local 5's Alex Fulton shares how 3 businesses are meeting that need.
It's the most wonderful time of the year here in the Drake neighborhood. That means large crowds of customers and businesses have to plan accordingly.
We've got a lot of people here that have been around this type of thing, so we know what to expect.
This weekend, shift manager Marcus Littleton says that Lucky Horse will sell a dozen kegs double what it usually goes through.
It's just business, right? It's always a good week for us. We'll sell a lot of beer. I'll say that, we'll sell a lot of beer.
The burger restaurant has double the amount of staff working to serve the spectators.
We'll open an hour earlier on Friday and Saturday just to accommodate the early crowd that comes. But otherwise, it's just Kind of the same thing we do every year, like we know it's coming, get ready for it, and be ready for it.
A similar story across the street at Doco Pizza.
We have a lot of staff, and we have an old manager coming back for a couple days who ended up moving to St. Louis last year, so we did bring on a lot more people.
Mars Cafe sees 50% more customers during Drake Relays Week.
We are really trying to dial in and make sure we got all of our systems up to speed so we can serve as many people as possible.
Owner Elliot Barker says his coffee shop is more slow-paced, but he's making changes to meet the high demand.
We always make our matcha by hand whisked, of course, everything correct, ceremonial style. I might do a flash chilled, a blanched pre-batch matcha just this once. I only commit that sin one time.
In Des Moines, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
A new driving survey finds that drivers are more concerned on the road than ever before.
And parents are especially worried about letting their driving age kids get behind the wheel. I looked into the findings of that survey and talked with a driving school owner about how to get your students ready for the road. The roads are becoming more dangerous. At least that's how drivers see it behind the wheel. A new survey from Nationwide Insurance shows a rise in reckless and aggressive driving, and drivers are more distracted. And you can see where it's getting to our heads. 40% of drivers say driving is stressful. 7 in 10 say that they frequently witness road rage, and 33% say that other drivers give them road rage. So I went to Ed Jennings, who is the owner of Street Smart's driving school, and asked him how parents can make sure that their kids are ready for the roads and the dangers that they may face out there.
Just getting kids behind the wheel and getting their confidence up is a huge part of that.
Also, before you let your kids grab the keys, make sure that they're thinking about all the things that could go wrong.
Being aware of all the cars around you and trying to anticipate what's going to happen, based on where the cars around you, what their speed is, their lane position, how close are you to an intersection. Most crashes happen at intersections, so just understanding the situation that you're in.
And here's the thing, we can't control whether another driver gets road rage, but Ed says that the best thing that we can do is follow the traffic laws, use our turning signals, and look out for the cars around us. And Ed and I talked much more about this topic. You can find the full interview streaming right now over on We Are Iowa Plus. I think the thing that really stood out to me is, distracted driving. There are so many different distractions. You just saw a phone there,
yeah.
But then what's on? He mentions the infotainment system, your radio, just all kinds of things that distract us.
It's definitely an issue that I think a lot of people are trying to address. Obviously we have the state's hands-free driving law right now, a lot of different things going on. I'm curious, did Ed share anything about if he's had to, change his driving education practices since seeing these statistics?
Yeah, and over the years they've had to adjust things just as. Especially with distracted driving, as they've seen more of that happen. Also, you have more aggressive driving. So he does a video every year where they talk about just what that looks like. But like it said right there, you can only control what you can control. People get mad when, let's say you change lanes really quickly or, just little things.
Yeah.
So again, you just focus on what you can control. You'll be okay. You can't help if that person had a bad day or whatever it might have been.
Absolutely. Very good advice. Good information for drivers out on the road, especially kids learning to drive right now.
Yes, they really need to learn this kind of stuff.
Tonight marks the final official day of Iowa legislative session, but lawmakers aren't done just yet. Negotiations on the state budget are still ongoing, and leaders say property tax reform remains a top priority before they adjourn. Local 5's J.D. Snofer is live at the state capitol. J.D., where do things stand right now?
Yeah, Stephanie, as you mentioned, lawmakers are still insisting that some sort of property tax relief is coming before the end of session, though what that looks like exactly and exactly how much relief there will be is still unknown. Now, what I can tell you tonight is that local jurisdictions are sounding the alarm about ways that their operations may have to change. After more than a year of debate and a legislative session now stretching into overtime, Iowa lawmakers are still negotiating a property tax overhaul.
And I still feel confident that we'll get something done this year.
One of the biggest sticking points right now, how much cities and counties would be allowed to grow their budgets year over year.
We've tried a number of ways to lower property taxes with the carrot approach. I think really the only way that we are going to be able to move property taxes and decrease them is with a hard cap.
That proposed cap is 2%. In Des Moines, city leaders say next fiscal year would normally be considered a strong one, driven by higher property assessments. Under a hard cap, they say, that outlook changes.
We'd have low years, high years. This would mean low years or even lower years in both proposals.
Concerns aren't just limited to larger cities, though. In Carroll, leaders there say they generally stay under 2%, but warn a hard cap reduces flexibility when costs jump unexpectedly.
Because 1 year here, we had a 17% increase in something that we can't control, and that's insurance and employee benefits.
Another piece of the puzzle still under debate, attaching the state gas tax to inflation, which supporters say is needed to keep up with road and bridge costs.
Every dollar is needed by the cities, counties, and the Iowa Department of Transportation.
While opponents argue it would open the door for more tax hikes.
And if you can apply the logic of indexing the gas tax to anything else, why not? Why not do it to the income tax?
So one more piece still under discussion as part of this plan would be reclassifying multi-unit housing. So that's a change that would raise taxes on some corporation-owned properties, but also things like mom and pop owned duplexes. And because talks are still ongoing, this bill could look like anything yet before it gets to the governor's desk. For right now, live at the Iowa State Capitol, I'm JD Snover, Local 5 News.
The owner of an auto detailing shop in Ames is offering to clean up hateful vandalism for free. Since March 18th, Ames police has received about 9 reports of racist messages tagged on cars. Local 5's Alex Fulton spoke with one of the drivers impacted by the owner's kindness. Alex.
Stephanie, it only took a Success Auto Wash and Detail a few hours to fix Katie Kaya's car. She says when she got it back, she experienced a mix of shock and gratitude.
Swastika here in big paint, and then all the way across here, the N-word.
Racial slurs and hate symbols spray painted on Katie Kaya's car.
I was really shocked when I saw the car because I had never seen anything like that in Ames or heard of anything like that in Ames.
Her husband was the one who noticed the graffiti in early April.
He was very scared because he thought it was something personal towards him, and so he called his parents right away.
The car was parked outside Kaya's apartment in the South 5th Street neighborhood, one area targeted by recent vandalism.
It just doesn't make sense to spread hate like that, and all people should be loved and cared for.
Kaya used a sponge to get rid of the graffiti, and in the process, scratched her car. It was her coworker who found a Facebook post from Success Auto Wash and Detail offering to clean up the vandalism for free.
To me, it was really about not just like detailing the car, but like restoring the owner's peace of mind with their vehicle.
Owner Michael Antonucci says when he heard about hate speech vandalism in Ames, he knew he had to help.
I hope I can provide an example that even though things might be bad, there's still people around in the community that want to help.
Antonucci made Kaya's car look like new by painting over the graffiti on the side mirror and removing the scratches.
I'm grateful for the good people in the world who will take care of you like that. Like a total stranger who will say, you don't deserve this, let's spread love and positivity.
No one has been arrested for the vandalism just yet. Anyone with information is being asked to contact Ames Police or Crime Stoppers of Central Iowa. Stephanie.
Drake realizes an exciting time for students, visitors, and athletes, but some safety concerns do rise with large crowds.
Yes, during this time of year, the Drake Public Safety folks, they really put a lot of focus on making sure that those crowds stay controlled and that there are officers out patrolling all of those big events. Local 5's Emma Stroner is live outside of Drake Stadium this morning. And Emma, what exactly are these public safety officials doing to keep people safe?
Well, university officials want you to have fun, but they also want you to stay safe and have a plan for navigating these big crowds. So that includes things like traveling in pairs, staying hydrated, and then letting officers know if you see anyone who's in danger.
This street is empty now, but it won't be for long. As thousands of people flock to Drake University for Relays events, Drake Public Safety knows they have a big job to do.
Basically, Relays is like homecoming for Drake.
And a big job requires a big amount of people to do it. including Public Safety Director Scott Law.
We have about 50 sets of eyes working the campus. With the help of all of our students, faculty, and staff, we increased that to over 4,000 sets of eyes that can let us know if something's going on and let us respond quickly.
Between activities like track and field events, the concert, and party tents, safety is paramount for university officials. Ensuring that security includes closing down Forest Avenue so cars don't hit people. Law says they've added better barricades this year. It also includes making sure anyone who might be dangerous isn't getting into areas with a lot of students, and that those students are staying together.
Traveling in pairs, traveling with other students, looking out for one another. If they see something, say something. If they have a problem, if they see something that just doesn't seem right, let us know, let us look into it.
Drake Relays is also a time when people might enjoy a drink or two. Those drinking alcohol should find a safe ride home, and one way to do that is the Safe Ride bus.
I'm always out and about driving around trying to pick everybody up.
This week, the bus is running from 8 p.m. to 3:30 a.m. Students can use it free of charge, but should be patient as demand for service really ramps up during Relays time.
Drake does its best to make sure that we are always available for them as much as possible, and that's what I love doing.
So whether you're a student, athlete, family member, or visitor, Drake University wants to keep you safe. If you have any safety concerns at a Drake Relays event, call Public Safety at 515-271-2222.
Another part of keeping people safe is responding to medical emergencies. So the Drake Athletics Department works with the Des Moines Fire Rescue to have a dedicated ambulance to the stadium. That way, if any athletes or people in the stadium can get the help they need. And then there's also on-site athletic trainers for the athletes if they have less threatening injuries as well. Live in Des Moines, Emma Stroner, Local 5 News.
A window washing platform collapses this afternoon, trapping one person. It shut down parts of downtown as fire crews worked to rescue another person who fell several stories. Local 5's Emily Carlson breaks down what happened. Emily.
Well, Alex, it happened around 12:30 this afternoon. We spoke with a bystander who saw the man fall from above her and hit the sidewalk right in front of her. It happened on 4th and Walnut. The rescue shut down Walnut from 4th to 5th for several hours. Medics responded to a call that a person was injured after falling 3 stories. When first responders arrived, they found a man with serious injuries and another trapped on a collapsed window washing platform. It scared a woman who saw the whole thing unfold from just feet away.
I parked my car, and literally as soon as I get out my car, I hear a huge crash, so I start covering my head up because it felt like it was over me. However, it came down on the other side of the skywalk. When I turned around, there was a guy on the ground. I ran over and I asked him if he was okay. He was in pain, you could tell.
Davis says the man was able to get up and walk around and was breathing okay. Another person was transported to the hospital with serious injuries. The rescue effort to get the trapped man in the scaffolding took about an hour. Walnut was shut down for several hours afterwards so that crews could clean up the debris from the scaffolding. Alex.
This Earth Day, the American Lung Association is releasing new data on air quality across the country. The report says several Iowa cities landed on the list of the 100 most polluted in the country. As Local 5's J.D. Snover reports, the effects aren't felt by all, but can be deadly for some.
Doctors here at the Iowa Clinic say the effects of poor air quality are felt differently, patient to patient. Experts say breathing in high amounts of air pollution can be harmful, especially over time. Even short-term exposure, they say, can irritate the lungs and trigger flare-ups. Nationally,
we find that nearly half of all children across the country are exposed to unhealthy levels of air quality.
Children are one of the most vulnerable populations, they say, because their lungs are still developing and they breathe more air for their size than adults, often spending more time outside as well. The analysis also looks closely at particle pollution.
The particles are as fine as, even more fine than a strain of hair, so they can get deeply lodged into the lungs and even go into the bloodstream and lead to chronic conditions.
When it comes to particle pollution, Iowa generally avoids the worst rankings. But Hamilton says that doesn't mean air is always harmless. Ground level ozone, also known as smog, remains a concern. In the study, Des Moines landed among the 85 worst metros for ozone pollution, while the Quad Cities ranked inside the top 50. One doctor at the Iowa clinic says not everyone needs to be aware, but there are warning signs if you start to feel a little off.
If you've been in a usual state of health and just feel like your breathing is starting to get more labored, it's just taking more energy to get around than it used to, or certainly the other symptoms of wheezing and cough.
In West Des Moines, I'm JD Snover, Local 5 News.
As we go into spring, nitrates in Iowa's water supplies is top of mind for some Iowans. Local 5's Brandon Wynn joins us in studio to discuss one option that's growing in popularity. Brandon.
Alex, that's right. With the water rationing last summer in the metro because of high nitrates, some are considering taking matters into their own hands. Reverse osmosis filtration systems have skyrocketed in popularity. Experts say it all started last summer with the first ever lawn watering ban in central Iowa.
People just are more informed about the water condition issues we're having in the state of Iowa, and so I think people are doing research.
Brooke Haas is the president of Brightwater Connecticut, which installs reverse osmosis systems in the metro. He says the spike in these systems is from people being more health conscious than years past.
Growing up here in Iowa, you drink out of garden hose, and all you wanted was good, clean, cold water is really what you wanted. And nowadays, I think we're just more informed in the things that are in our water.
Reverse osmosis systems work by connecting to your water line and separating out everything that is not water, including pollutants like nitrates and plastics.
We know nitrates are a cause of cancer. We know they're not good for the elderly, they're not good for infants, they're not good for a lot of things.
TJ Riley is the owner of Iowa Soft Water and also installs reverse osmosis systems. The current nitrate limit in Iowa is 10 milligrams per liter, and Riley shared how this process is used to reduce nitrates in Iowa whether you own a filtration system or not.
In upwards of 90% of America uses it. You just don't realize, a lot of the bottled water is treated that way. If you look on your bottled water, it'll say purified by reverse osmosis.
Yet there might come a day with Iowa's consistent nitrate struggles that everyone may have a reverse osmosis system in their home.
Just like having a washing machine in your home used to be a thing that was a perk in the 50s. Nowadays, I think the same thing goes with reverse osmosis, where, if you're building a new home or you're moving into a new home, you want to make sure you're having that put in.
Something experts also shared is if you choose to install a reverse osmosis system, make sure the system being installed is a reverse osmosis system and not a general filtration system. As they say, there is a lot of counterfeits on the market.
Police are now naming a suspect accused of shooting 5 people in the Iowa City pedestrian mall Sunday morning, but they still haven't found him at this point. Now, investigators say that 17-year-old Demarion Jones from Cedar Rapids opened fire early that morning after a large fight broke out. Again, 5 people were shot, including 3 University of Iowa students, and 1 woman is still in critical condition. Police say none of the victims were involved in the fight and do not appear to have been targeted.
What you're going to see is an increased police presence starting this weekend. The University of Iowa Police Department is going to be providing 4 additional police officers dedicated downtown who will complement and do co-patrols with the additional officers from the Iowa City Police Department.
The investigation is ongoing, and the police chief says more charges are expected. Now, important to note, we are naming Jones because he is being charged as an adult.
And we're also learning new information this morning on the response to Sunday's shooting in Iowa City. Once police got the call, it took 5 minutes for a hawk alert to go out. According to the university, hawk alerts are automatically sent to all students and employees through text, email, and even phone calls. Now, this happens whenever there's an immediate safety concern. That can include everything from severe weather to active incidents, along with instructions on what to do and what areas to avoid.
I got a hawk alert call within 2-3 minutes, so I was able to know what areas to avoid and things like that. So it definitely gives me a sense of security for sure.
Students can adjust how they receive alerts, but they can't opt out entirely. It's something the University of Iowa says ensures everyone gets critical information when it matters most.
A new partnership between the city of Des Moines and local nonprofits is bringing more affordable housing to the metro. And this time it's not apartments or converted hotels, it's single-family homes. As Local 5's JD Snover reports, the first homes are almost move-in ready.
These two houses here in the Columbus Park neighborhood just south of Des Moines East Village blend in fairly well with the neighborhood surrounding them. However, what doesn't meet the eye is exactly how much good they'll be doing for the families who move in. Nestled into a quaint south side neighborhood along the river are these two newly built single-family homes.
They're no different than your neighbor's house. It's just the way that you're able to get into them.
The land underneath of them is owned by the Central Iowa Community Land Trust, helping keep costs down long term. Buyers must earn less than 80% of the area median income, and
we will make sure that their payment, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, and their ground lease fee is not more than 30% of their annual gross income.
Outside of those requirements, it's really open to all walks of life. Future residents could be new college grads who may be neck deep in debt, or
you could be working for years and potentially not be able to afford a home.
These homes could be a forever place or a stepping stone to something bigger, just as they're the first step for the organizations behind the project. In a statement to Local 5, Carrie Warderman with Home Inc., the nonprofit builder, says the homes, quote, lay the groundwork for a broader long-term vision, one that can evolve through collaboration with additional communities and a diverse mix of nonprofit and for-profit builders. Now, Chico says they're just getting started, and the eventual goal, about 100 homes throughout the Des Moines Metro. In Des Moines, I'm JD Snover, Local 5 News.
It is day 102 of the Iowa legislative session. It came and it went. This marks the second day past the tentative end to the session. Local 5's Brandon Wynn explains what is keeping the lawmakers from going home. Brandon.
Emily, that's right. The Iowa legislature is looking to see consensus on some major issues, but sometimes that's easier said than done.
The big ticket items right now are property tax relief and passing a budget. Passing a budget is required before the session ends, and Democrats have been critical of the Republican majority for failing to make progress on their priorities.
Instead of focusing on these things during the legislative session, they focused on divisive social issues that do nothing to lower the cost of living in the state of Iowa.
Yet Republican leaders remain optimistic that they can make it before the session closes.
I think it is a positive step for each chamber to stake their ground, and I think that's why it was important for us to do that. Again, incorporating a lot of ideas from the Senate and the governor in doing that.
I think both the House and the Senate are very optimistic that we're close to coming to consensus on some of the other issues we have in front of us, which leads us to a path to adjourn.
The main point of controversy is the property tax plan. The Senate came up with a new plan that incorporated ideas from the governor, the House, and the Senate's original plan. This plan received bipartisan support, but the House did add amendments that slowed the process down.
The House's counter proposal to our proposal has led to conversations. So I think we'll spend some time identifying what each chamber really can't live without, so to speak.
Even with a Republican majority in both chambers, the minority Democrats still have a role to play, shutting down the governor's most recent HHS director nominee. Larry Johnson needed a supermajority to be confirmed. The Democrats did not oblige.
It's a really important responsibility that we have for Iowans to be a check and balance now that we did work hard to get out of the superminority. And my colleagues and I had a variety of really serious concerns about leadership at HHS, as well as with several other nominees.
Now, the last piece of the puzzle is finalizing a budget, and with both Senate Majority Leader Klemesh and House Speaker Grassley both saying they feel they're seeing a lot of common ground in those discussions, only time will tell when the end is in sight. Emily?